The first time I reached for her hand, it wasn't because I was brave. It was because I was scared. The crowded summer street festival in Charleston, South Carolina, had been full of music, food trucks, and laughing families, but one persistent stranger refused to accept that the woman standing beside me wanted to be left alone. My heart pounded as I looked him straight in the eye and heard myself say the first thing that came to mind. I told him she was my girlfriend. I expected her to pull away, to correct me, or at least to look surprised. Instead, she quietly slipped her fingers between mine, squeezed my hand, and looked at me with calm confidence that seemed stronger than anything I had ever felt. In that single moment, everything I believed about loneliness, courage, and unexpected love began to change. Before we continue, if you believe kindness can change lives, if you still have faith in hope, compassion, forgiveness, and second chances, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, leave a positive comment, and subscribe to the channel so we can keep bringing you stories that remind us how powerful simple acts of kindness can be. My name is Nathan, and until that evening, my life had become painfully predictable. I worked remotely as a software technician, spent most evenings fixing old furniture in my garage, and rarely spoke to anyone outside of work meetings. After losing both my parents within 3 years and ending a long relationship that slowly faded into silence instead of anger, I had convinced myself that keeping people at a distance was simply easier. The only exception was my next-door neighbor, Grace. She had moved into the duplex nearly 8 months earlier with little more than a pickup truck, a golden retriever named Cooper, and a smile that somehow survived even the hardest days. We weren't close friends. We exchanged cookies during holidays, watered each other's plants while traveling, and occasionally shared coffee on Saturday mornings. Somehow those small routines quietly became the brightest part of my week without either of us admitting it. The man at the festival finally walked away after Grace kept holding my hand without hesitation. We continued walking through the lights and music, neither of us speaking for several minutes. I was embarrassed for putting her in that situation, but she never looked uncomfortable. Instead, she kept our hands together until we reached a quiet bench overlooking the harbor. There, she admitted that the stranger had been following her for several minutes before I even noticed. She thanked me for stepping in when no one else had. I apologized for pretending we were together, expecting an awkward laugh. Instead, she smiled gently and told me not to take it back. Those 4 words settled into my heart with surprising weight because they didn't sound like a joke. They sounded like someone opening a door I had been afraid to knock on for years. Life after that evening didn't suddenly become perfect. If anything, it became more confusing. We spent more time together naturally, cooking dinner after long workdays, taking Cooper on walks through the neighborhood, helping elderly neighbors carry groceries, and volunteering at a local community food pantry on weekends. Every shared moment made me realize how much I admired her patience and quiet strength. Grace had her own scars. She confessed that trusting people had never been easy after spending years caring for an ill father who passed away shortly before she moved to South Carolina. She had learned to carry grief with grace instead of bitterness, but she still wondered whether anyone would choose to stay when life became difficult. Hearing that made me realize we were both hiding behind different versions of the same fear. Months passed, and our friendship deepened in ways neither of us could have planned. Then one autumn afternoon, a severe storm swept across the coast. Strong winds damaged several homes on our street, including the porch of an elderly widow named Margaret. Before emergency crews even arrived, Grace was already outside organizing neighbors to clear fallen branches, deliver meals, and check on everyone who needed help. Watching her inspire an entire neighborhood reminded me that love isn't built through dramatic speeches. It's built through ordinary moments when someone quietly chooses others before themselves. Standing beside her that day, covered in rain and sawdust, I realized the bravest decision wasn't pretending she was my girlfriend months earlier. The bravest decision was finally telling her that I hoped one day she truly would be. Her answer came not with grand gestures but with the same gentle smile I remembered from the festival. She reached for my hand exactly the way she had before and reminded me that some promises begin long before people realize they're making them. We didn't rush into a perfect life. We simply kept choosing each other every single day. The neighbors who once knew us as two quiet people living next door eventually knew us as the couple always willing to help, always bringing extra food to community gatherings, and always believing that kindness had a way of returning when least expected. If this story has touched your heart so far, please take a moment to support the channel by liking the video, sharing it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribing so more uplifting stories like this can reach people who need encouragement. Before this story ends, I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and tell us about a small act of kindness that changed your life or restored your faith in people. Your story might become the encouragement someone else desperately needs to read. Looking back now, I still think about that crowded festival and the simple words that escaped my mouth without a plan. I thought I was rescuing someone from an uncomfortable moment, but in truth, grace rescued me from a life where fear had become more familiar than hope. Sometimes the greatest relationships don't begin with perfect timing or carefully chosen words. Sometimes they begin with one unexpected act of courage, one hand reaching for another, and one person quietly saying, without needing to say much at all, "Don't take it back." And if we have the courage to keep holding on, we may discover that the life we were searching for has been living right next door all along.